right, I do believe we're live. All right,
Okay.
everybody. We got our friend Angie here on the line, and she's going to share some of her Bigfoot experiences with us here. And I couldn't be more happy about having her on the line.
Well, thank you so much for asking. I appreciate it.
I've been looking
Glad
forward
we
to
finally
this.
got this together.
Yeah, me too. I've been looking forward to it. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, Angie.
Okay, I am at Beauties and the Bigfoot on YouTube only. I don't have any other social media for my Bigfoot channel. And the whole premise of my story or my storyline, my YouTubes, is to change the narrative on how we view these forest friends and how we interact with them, because a lot of the stories that you hear on YouTube or on the internet are of horrible, terrible experiences with them, and I have not had the terrible, horrible experiences. So I wanted to share the other side of the equation with how I've had the interactions with our forest friends, so that you can see a different view type.
Thank gosh. We need it so bad.
Also, I wanted to share from the female perspective how we interact with the Bigfoot, because we interact differently than a man would interact with them. Let's face it, it's just like with everything else in life.
100%. I think they absolutely view and approach you differently than they would me.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. I'm absolutely thankful for that.
Yeah, so my views on the Bigfoot, for years, I come from a paranormal background. Okay, I do the paranormal investigations. I'm a psychic medium. I'm retired as far as being a psychic medium now, but I do still out and go and do paranormal investigations occasionally. And I clear the houses if anybody has any problems with hauntings or hauntings or any kind of spiritual activity that goes on in there. So
that is such a great service, man.
Well, that's part of where my background is. And like I said, I had known about Bigfoot, but I did not have any interest in pursuing that or any interactions or anything like that until in 2022, when I downsized from an old Victorian into the house that I'm in now. And then that is where my Bigfoot journey started.
From what I hear, it wasn't easy in the beginning, huh?
No, it was not easy. It was 2 months of terror, because I went down the YouTube Bigfoot rabbit hole, and all I heard were these terrible, terrible experiences.
Yes, ma'am.
So I kept thinking, oh my God, they're going to kill me. They're going to break into the house. I'm going to have to move.
I think that's why a lot of properties sit vacant. Most of us don't have what it takes to hang out and spend time with these folks. We're just going to take off.
Right, which is, I didn't want to do that. And then the moment that my terror ceased was when I realized they've had a lot of opportunities to kill me or hurt me, and they have done nothing. Yep. Not a thing.
That's one of the things that I hold on to as well as a bow hunter, man. They've never messed with me. They've never even yelled at me, and I'm so thankful for that.
Well, I have been yelled at. But there again, trying to learn how to navigate living around them has been a learning process. And yeah, I made a few mistakes.
Oh, of course.
So
we already know that they do not look at things like we do from our perspective. That's a whole nother thing they got going.
Right. They don't come from ego, period.
No, right.
And they are a wild people, so they have their own standards and their own things.
Yes, ma'am.
And their own reactions.
Yes, ma'am. They got their own sense of humor too, I'm sure.
Yes, they are. They have quite the sense of humor. It's different than ours. Exactly. They laugh at things that we probably wouldn't normally laugh at, but that's just the way it is. You know, they are out there living their lives that we know very, very little about. And this is why channels like yours and mine are good, because we can kind of give a little insight into.
Yes, I'm so happy that you just said that, man. It's a big deal, and somebody has to do this better and differently than it's been done to this point. A lot of these guys are just going in circles and looking at the same old tracks, and it's not really helping anybody, them or us.
Yeah, because there's no, you can have a starting point.
Yes.
But each individual's interactions with these guys is going to be different because of who they are, and then also who we are, and where we are in the different parts of the country or even the world, because the different locations of these guys, from what I'm understanding, they act differently.
Sounds a lot like
us.
What I
mean? Yeah, exactly. They have a baseline, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But they respond differently according to the locations that they're in.
If I might here, that's a pattern that's come up as I have listened to these accounts all these years. Like you were saying, that the level of violence, man, a lot of the accounts that I have listened to that are super violent come from Alaska. A lot of them come from also Australia, man. They always seem like they're really angry.
Wow. No, I know Alaska has those upside down turned trees. Yep. Along the beach line up there that are just fascinating to me. I would love to see one of those.
Have you come up on one of those yet?
No.
I found one, man. We've got them here.
I remember you saying that.
Well, it freaked me out. I got goosebumps just mentioning it, man. It's somewhere in Montcalm County on state land. I walked up on it, and it absolutely freaked me out. It's not a small tree, and it's impossible where it's at.
Right, for it to even happen like that.
Yeah, absolutely impossibility. So.
Yeah, I know that's a pretty strong statement to be, flipping the tree upside down and.
That's my point. I think too. It's so. I feel it's a display of power.
Right. True.
Really do, and I feel that way about this tree twist down the street too, man. It's twisted like it was made of clay or wax, man.
Now, that's funny that you said that, because one of the things that I have in my notes here is describing the different kind of structures, like the tree leans and the bends and everything. And the twist is a strong claim to the area, is what I understand the twist to mean.
I believe that. God, I'm covered in goosebumps, man.
Yeah, this is my area.
Yeah, and that's apparent when you look at it, man.
Right. Now, I wonder if, with the tree twist like that, if they use their energy to manipulate that like they do with possibly the tree arches.
I think so. Being that I've done tree work my whole life, man, I understand what it would take to twist that thing off like that. And I think they weaken it molecularly first.
Right.
And then they use their strength to just twist it right off, man. It would take a combination of two, and that's apparent to me.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too.
Absolutely.
So, all right, well, I will tell you some of the things that happened to me. I have dates. I kind of put them in chronological order.
Are these all going to be since you moved into the place or where you're at?
Yep, I moved in November 6th of 2022. And then my first contact was in December. And I don't have the actual date of that. But what happened was I got home late from work, so it must have been before Christmas. I got home late from work. It was snowing like crazy. I went to start my snowblower, and it wouldn't start. So I had to shovel because there was like 4 inches on the ground. And my house sits back off of a main road, and I have a 3-car garage, so there's a large pad in front of it. So I'm out there, and I'm shoveling, and it's dark, and I have the lights on, and I hit the shovel on the tree. And the first thing that came into my mind was, that was not a tree knock. So I said that out loud. And then from behind me, where Olaf's play room area is, came a wood knock. And I was like, oh my God. And then came the smell. So and they have a very, very distinctive smell. And it's not, all of them have the same smell. What I've come to know is their smells differentiate between the different forest friends.
That makes sense.
But it's basically the same thing, but with a little bit of difference in there. So I just kept shoveling, and I started to get a little bit freaked out when the smell came because it was so overpowering. And I started talking to myself. I started bitching about the snowblower not working, and I was out here freaking shoveling at 8 o'clock at night. And then I started singing to myself because I was scared. So that
trying to work your way through the nervous part.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was my first contact that I had with them. Now, the other thing is, on the back of my property, I have a metal building-like type thing back there. It's a back part of a semi. And when I was walking around, when I was viewing this house, I kept telling the real estate lady, this doesn't make sense. This yard does not make sense. I don't understand what's going on here. And I said, why is that semi back there? So I thought that after exploring the semi, because that's what I do, I thought I had a homeless guy out there living in that semi. And Bigfoot never crossed my mind that they might be hanging out in the semi at some times, until after all these activities started happening. So then the second thing that happened, and this was January, February, March, April. This was in April 6th of 2023. So this is 4 months later. I didn't have anything happen in those 4 months that I can remember that I wrote down. Now, sometimes things happen and I forget to write them down. So there's
you've been keeping a journal about this stuff, huh?
Yes, and I refer to myself not as an investigator because I'm not investigating.
That makes two of us.
I am documenting my experiences with these guys. So that's why I keep it detailed as best I can.
Sure.
But sometimes I forget and something will happen and then I'll forget to write it down and it just is in my memory, but I forget the dates because I didn't write it down.
But I was thinking today, it's funny that you said the document part, because I was thinking today that what we're trying to do is more like a documentary.
Right.
I had that thought today.
Yeah, we're trying to show our experiences with them and keep timelines of how the experiences change from the beginning, to wherever this ends. Plus, this way, my grandkids can have a timeline of what happened here.
Absolutely.
And go on with, if they have experiences, then they can have some kind of guide.
So let me ask you something.
Yep.
Are you in hopes that they do?
Well, my oldest granddaughter has already had her own experiences. Now, I can tell you 2 of them, and they're very, very cool. she is into the paranormal like I am, so I take her to these paranormal conferences and stuff.
Cool.
With me when I go. Now she's 19, but she's been doing this, for years, even before I came here.
She's already a pro, right?
Right. So, of course, I tell my family what's going on here and let them know, and she is very into it. She's not scared at all.
That's awesome.
So we were going to a paranormal conference, and I don't have a date on this because I didn't write it down. As with a couple of my experiences that happened, but she left her car here and I drove because I can't remember where we went. Oh, we went down to the Oliver House in Toledo is where we went for a conference. So we get, she left her car out in the garage, and I yelled before we left, Olaf, keep an eye on Erica's car. We're going to leave it outside. Don't touch it. Just keep an eye on it. So, and we got in and we left. So we get back, and were we gone overnight? Yes, we were gone overnight because we didn't want to drive home because the conference ended at like 6 or 7 or something. I was going
to say, that's a long day.
Yeah, so we came back Sunday. It must have been a Sunday. So we get back, and around each of her tires is a Y stick laid by each tire. And she said, what does that mean? And I said, well, that's friendship. That's protection. That's what that means. And she started crying. And she's like, oh, my God, that means he loves me. Yeah. And of course he loves you. Awesome. So then, years later, she came over to pick something up. And we were sitting on the couch. And the south end of my house is where I always have something thrown every night between 9 and 10 o'clock, just to let me know that they're passing through and that they're there. It's just a communication type thing. So we were sitting here, and it was about probably 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were just talking, and then all of a sudden, bam, on the side of the house, something, I don't know what was thrown, but it was thrown with a lot of force. And we both heard it, and she looked at me, and I said, that's just Olaf saying hello. And that was it. So that was really cool because it's always nice when you have other people around you to verify your experiences. So on the other hand of that, let me tell you before I begin with the rest of my progressions, I have a friend, and she goes to the paranormal conferences with me too. And she came over, and we were leaving from a paranormal conference. We went and we came home that same night. So we got home to my house about 10 o'clock because I had drove. And she left. And as she got home, I get this text at must have been 10:45 or 10:45, something like that. And she's like, do you have pine cones at your house? And I'm like, yeah, I have pine cones. I have pine trees lining the one part of the driveway. And she said, something was thrown at the back of my car with force. And I think it was a pine cone. So there again, another verification of something happening.
A lot of people might not even notice that. A pine cone is so light.
But see, that's just the thing. I said, well, pine cones can drop. And she said, no, you don't understand. It did not drop on the top of my car. It was thrown at the back by the license plate.
Right.
And she said it was thrown with such force it made her jump.
Oh, my gosh.
So...
not so much a soft little pine cone then, right?
Right, exactly. And it was probably a bigger one, but I didn't even, I just said, oh, he was just saying hello. I poo-pooed it off. But he was letting her know, hey, I'm here. So that was interesting too. And I like that. And I've had people come over here, and I've taken one of my acquaintances in the old scout room, and there's been a wood knock back there, which was really cool. You know, because it's always nice when you have something happen like that. Like I said, that can be verified with somebody else. Well, so, getting back to the my contact in April, I was sleeping, and it was about 3:30 in the morning, and I woke up. Now, mind you, I'm still thinking I have a squatter living in the woods. Okay, I hear this whistle, and I have a detached garage from the back of my house, and my bedroom's at the back of the house. So I hear this whistle loud come booking through from the from the north side, heading south, in between my garage and my house, and it's loud enough to wake me up. And I'm laying there and I'm listening, and I'm like, wait a minute, squatter guy can't whistle that loud. What is happening? And then I heard this whistle go east towards the woods, and it's reminded me of a train when a train goes by and it blows its whistle, and then it gets, lighter and lighter. It's covering ground. Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was really going fast. So I was like, okay. So that was one of my second contact that I've had with them. And then on the 16th of April in 2023, so that's 10 days later, I heard at 6 p.m. my first whoop. And I don't have wrote down what side of the house that was, whether it was north or south, so that I do not know. And then we went into May 1st of that same year, 23, at 3:25 a.m. to wood knocks on the south side of my house. So there's a south side of my house has a small patch of woods in between me and my neighbors. Now in the winter you can see the neighbor, but in the summer you can. Right, just enough there to kind of separate the two lots. Exactly. So I heard that two wood knocks, and then damn, in the house, huh? In the house, yeah. That'd be pretty, right? Exactly. I don't remember if I got up to go to the bathroom or if the first knock woke me. I'm not sure, and I don't have that wrote down. That doesn't matter. But the fact that you hear it loud enough from the outside when you're inside says a lot to me. Exactly. People got to realize these guys are really, really strong. They are very, very strong. I mean, you just, until you start interacting or actually see the size in person, they're just so massive. That's one of the questions that I wanted to run by you. There really isn't a size limit, is there? Not from what I'm understanding, no. Me neither. Matter of fact, Renee said something about somebody finding a print that was 36 inches, man. Oh, my goodness. Right. Now, to have that kind of foot, man, he's a big dude. That is a big dude, and there's some kind of formula on one of the channels, and I can't remember what it is right now, that they can tell how tall they are by the footprint. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not sure which one that is. So, but it was funny because one of my first mind speak that I had with these guys was the word Hungary. And I kept thinking to myself, when I first got that, I said, this is right in the beginning. I said, I'm not feeding you. You go forage in the forest. And it was the little one, Olaf. And he kept saying, Hungary. And I kept saying, I'm not going to feed you. Now, this is mind speak, right? This is mind speak, okay. Yep. And I'm like, I'm not going to feed you. Not going to feed you. Well, he persisted for days with this Hungary. hungry. And I thought, why is he saying it like that? That's not how you say hungry.
Right.
I don't understand. So then I looked up the word Hungary, like the country, Hungary.
Sure.
And it said people that conquered the land.
Wow. That's a little more than interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that was my first mind speak ever. Was that little guy explaining to me who they are.
He was extremely persistent with that until you got it, wasn't he?
He was. I mean, it went, I don't know how many days it went on, and it wasn't constant. It would come in like bursts, you know, but the Hungary would be repeated.
Yeah, he just wasn't going to let go of it till you got it. I think that's great, man.
That is great because that caused me to research, and then that gave me an understanding of who they are and also helped to get rid of my terror.
Yes.
You know, and while these first few months while I was living in terror, I still went out in the woods, regardless. I still went out there.
So, if I might, ma'am.
Yep.
You got bigger balls than me. I mean that in the best way. And I'm here to tell you because I was out in the woods the other day in the broad daylight, man, and I'm still not sure what went on, but I've never felt so small in my life, and had it been in the dark, I probably wouldn't go in the woods for a while, if ever, man. It was fucked up.
Well, and that's part of your channel's whole purpose is to help the people that have experienced that to go through. And what better way, really, when you think about it, for you to help somebody get over that by going through it yourself.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So that's really cool. I just thought of that now. It didn't dawn on me when I watched the video.
I couldn't agree more. That way I know exactly, you know, where somebody's coming from. But I will say I'm covered in goosebumps at this moment just thinking about it, man, and it's actually hard to breathe. So this is not an easy thing, man.
Yeah, it isn't. It isn't. It's takes a lot of trust in yourself and in God, the Creator, whatever you choose to call Him.
I felt myself standing on my faith with both feet out there, man.
Yeah, you have to, and that's part of also one of, I mean, having these experiences with these guys have taught me so much. A lot of it is self-reflecting, whether I wanted to or not. And that even came through with making some of the mistakes that I made.
Right.
So, did they get mad when I made the mistakes and throw trees at me? No.
Right.
Nope. They just growled at me, and they just howled at me to let me know I interfered with something that they were doing by doing. It's like, you know, if somebody bumped into you, you'd be like, "Hey," or whatever.
No, all good. They're just letting you know without being hurtful in any manner.
Right. Although, you know, hearing that scream coming from way back in the woods was not, and they have different screams. Yes. Some of me, like a scream, like this one was where it's, okay, now you did it. I'm not happy with you right now. And then they have the other ones, which are a little more serious, and they sound like a tornado siren. They sound like a tornado siren.
Wow. So, I've been listening to accounts for a very, very, very long time, and I have heard people describe different screams, and I'm here to tell you folks right now, this is the first time I've heard someone say what you just said. That is
about the tornado siren?
Yes, that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, to me, that's my take on what the two different yells sound like. The one that has the most how do you want to call it? Oomph to it. Sounds like a tornado siren.
I bet they can hear that for frickin' miles, huh?
Well, you can feel it in your chest. You can feel it in your chest. So, that's, different people when they're around, their bodies will react different ways.
Sure, absolutely. Everybody reacts differently to that infrasound as well.
Right. And mine hits me in the middle of my chest. It's a pressure.
Yep.
And that's with most of them. Now, some of them I'll get tingle in between my eyebrows and a pressure in my head.
Ooh, I find that interesting. Sounds like they're pushing on your third eye there.
Right. Yeah. But now those are ones that I have a loose relationship with. Not necessarily a relationship, but
contact.
Yeah, I know that they're there. They know that I'm here, and that's how they let me. And then even I've had one, and I can't remember where it was, even give me a pressure in the back of my head, that little divot where it's in the back of your head. Yeah. I've had pressure put there before. And I've also been hit with the infrasound all over to where I thought I was going to pass out and thought I was having some kind of episode. And I've had to. That's actually happened twice. But luckily, the first time I was sitting on my couch. So
hold on. You got hit with infrasound while you were in the house on the couch. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing either, eh? Wow.
It is a thing. And that was from the dog man. That was not from one of the forest people.
So that was another question that I had for you down the line, because I understand that they have some of the abilities that the Sabe folks do. I was just wondering as to how many.
Yeah, well, this was funny because they also mind speak.
Yep.
The dogman will mind speak, and I had said out loud, too much. That's too much. Stop it. And then it just kept going on, and then Jabi came through the mind speak and said, Ren, knock it off. And Ren said to him, I just wanted to see how much she could take. Yeah. And it literally, I can't even describe it to you. It's like your sugar spikes and you're going to pass out and you're going to get sick. You get clammy. It's a weird.
It doesn't sound enjoyable on any level.
It isn't. And then
it also sounds like something, man, like if you were out in the middle of the forest, man, it sounds like it could be something that would just totally disorient you. And
absolutely.
Put you in a terrible position to find your way out of
there. Exactly. Or make you incapable of moving at all.
Absolutely. And now you're just a snack, man, if that's what
right.
you need. Oh, geez.
Right. And I was in location 5, which I went to today when I got hit with that infrasound. And it took everything I had to get out of there and remember where I was going. I immediately turned around and headed back the way that I came and made it back to my car. And then when I got home, I suffered from the remnants of that infrasound for about an hour.
I was wondering how long it actually had you. An hour long. That's quite a while, eh?
And yeah, and I think it was just because I got hit so hard that it took me an hour to get myself together. I believe I stopped being hit with it when I got to my car, but I can't remember because it's kind of a blur. It's like one of those things where you're like, how did I even get here? Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you
but I remember purposely saying too much.
Yeah, trying to get him to turn it down.
Yeah, and they did turn it down, but they did not turn it off.
Right. So
they did turn it down, but they did not turn it off till I got back in my car.
I noticed something in one of your recent videos, and I made a little note through the back of my brain, and I wanted to bring this up. A lot of folks are under the impression that the Sabe Bigfoot folks are out here in the middle of nowhere, and one of the things I noticed in one of the places that you're going looks a lot to me like a public footpath, not too far removed, right? So I want people to understand, man, they're not just out in the middle of nowhere, they're in your backyard, man.
Exactly, 100%. Yes. Now they're not in all backyards, but you got to remember, we encroached on their homes first. Okay, we built with them, and I think that's part of the reason why I get along so well with this family, because they were here, and the house that I'm in now sat vacant for a year. So
you know what?
They pretty much had the run of the land.
As you describe that to me, you know what it reminds me of, Angie?
What's that?
How the First Nations people were done.
Oh, true.
Right? I kind of feel like it's almost a replay of the same sad story, man, which it really saddens me, man, because I know they got the goods, man. And I also know they're not very happy about us and the way that they've been handled through the years. God, I wish that could be fixed somehow.
Well, with time, little by little, it's getting fixed, and that's why the internet is beneficial also, because it's allowing them to tell their stories and give them a voice that they haven't had.
Yeah, matter of fact,
on such a large scale.
Yeah, and that goes for all of this, and I think as long as there's some people out here like you and I that care about this and that are putting this out there, it's gonna help, man, a lot more than we've been able to do before because of the access.
Right. Yep. But then on the other hand, it's you have the other end of the scale with that. It's a double-edged sword. So just like with you were talking about the AI, and 100% that's got to be labeled as such.
Don't you feel that way? I'm so glad to hear that. Yes, thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
I feel like if they don't, then all of the information is askew, and it doesn't even give us the option of staying out of that crap.
Well, that too. You're watching something you think is real, and it's not.
Yup, and you got folks like us that are out going through the work and putting ourselves way out in these crazy situations, and that other dude can sit in his mama's basement and make a bunch of AI crap and put it out as the real thing, and I think that should be seen as an issue.
Yeah, and that's great for entertainment purposes.
Yes, if that's what you want.
You said,
yes,
let's
by all
separate
means.
them.
Sure, please and thank you, right?
Yeah, and I have, since I watched your video, was that yesterday? It must have been yesterday. I have noticed that there is certain Bigfoot channels that have put on their AI generated.
There you go.
So for that, that's a good. At least they were responsible enough to do that. So I thought that was great.
Right? To be upfront about it. It's great if that's what you want to look at. I'm not putting all that down. I'm just saying that's not what I want to do, and I feel like we should all have the option. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, just make sure it's labeled correctly.
And the other thing that I thought about was, as I'm trying to build this channel and I'm using all of these reference points and these analytics and these imprints and these algorithms, if all the AI produced stuff is included in this, is any of my measurements even correct?
Oh, true.
Right? Is any of it even comparable for us? I think all of the stuff that is legitimately made by a human should be over here, so that as you're making your channel and you're checking these reference points, it's all accurate. And I think the AI driven stuff should also have that, right? They shouldn't be held up by our stuff over here. They should be able to look at their own algorithms and drive their own channels that way.
True. That's a good point, because it probably does mess up the algorithm.
I don't see how it can. And I don't know, should the AI produce stuff be able to generate the same amount of funds that a real channel does? There's another question for you. Like, is it worth as much? Should it be? Should you know, I don't know. These are just questions that I don't have the answers to.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about that one.
No,
part of me says yes, part of me says no.
Right.
I mean,
I feel like making a real channel and doing the work is going to be a lot more involved, and that guy sitting in the basement isn't going to get snatched up in the woods by something that ain't supposed to be out there.
Right, true.
I feel like the ones that are walking out there, like you and I, maybe we should be in a position to do a little better with our channels.
That's true. There should be some kind of sliding pay scale.
I absolutely believe that. I don't think anything else makes sense. And yeah, they shouldn't be put in a position to generate the same that we do as we go through this and put ourselves at risk and everything else that goes with it, man.
Yeah, it's not an easy task to get out there. You know, I only go once a week, and I try to get out there every Sunday.
Sure.
But sometimes, you know, I've been out there when it's been 10 below zero. Yeah. I've been out there in floods. I've been out there a couple times in the rain. You know, it's not and plus, it's taking time out of my day,
yes,
you know, to go and do this.
We only get this time once, right?
Right. But on the other hand, I do that. It's my choice to do it because I want to make sure to help get information out to these people. And the show.
You see it just like I do. You understand the fact that the effort will be worth the outcome.
Right, and the outcome is knowledge.
Yes, yes, improvements.
Right, and getting ready for when that day happens, when they decide to come and live among us, if they ever do. You know, in our lifetime anyway.
It's obvious to me. Everything is here for a reason, and I believe these folks have a reason for being here. I already think they protect this planet, and they're refusing to let us blow it up with our nuclear bombs. They need this place. They have shown up at our nuclear facilities and basically shut them down if they thought we were going to blow everything up. I remember one of the stories, one of our biggest facilities, they were just coming online to do practice run and make sure everything was working. And 4 or 5 of these folks showed up at the fence and melted everything down. It took them a week to bring it back online. So
wow.
It's obvious to me that this planet is important to these folks.
Well, they've been here for how, you know?
Yeah, forever, right?
Right, right. I think, in my opinion, they, you know, people always ask, oh, what are they? What are they? What are they? Well, I think they are what we would be if we had stayed living in the wild like they do.
I think that's a big piece.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I think that's a big piece of it. I also feel that somewhere down the line, somebody needed a slave race, and I think genetically we've been manipulated, or our DNA. I think that'll come to light at some point, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, your DNA adapts to your environment also.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
So, which is why I think maybe in the beginning they didn't have as many abilities as they do now. I think their DNA and everything else has changed to adapt to their environment, along with, you know, their brain has grown and developed certain abilities as they've evolved.
I think another part of that everybody needs to recognize, they're not just from here.
Right.
Their eyes are completely different than ours. I think they come from a place where they require the sight that they have. A lot of the things I think about them are based on these other places that they go and their adaptability.
That was one of the things that I was thinking about earlier today is, the portals that they come in and out of. And I was wondering, okay, do they make sure they close those portals once they come in? Are they temporary portals that, like, within a matter of minutes?
I feel like that's one of the things they're guardians of. I think they're there. I think some of the occasions where we get screamed at and chased the hell out of the woods is to keep us out of a damn portal. And I feel like they're also making sure.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, and I feel like they're also there to make sure some of this shit that we don't want here comes through.
See, that's what I was thinking about because, coming from the paranormal background, I have always said that these people that are going around and messing with stuff they've got no business messing with, and they're opening these portals and they're not closing them, they're letting this stuff in from another place to just wreak havoc, on the planet. But then also the other thing is all these natural occurrences that are happening and why they're so frequent, I think is because of some of these portals being open, and it's shifting the energy of the planet.
I would agree with that. And
you know what I mean?
Part of this too, you got to figure, for every one of us, man, that comes up missing out there, that only brings the heat on them guys. So it makes sense to me. They got a couple guys on standby. Look, if they get near the portal, man, scream at them, Bill, chase them out. Will you make sure they don't fall in there? Because we'll have the damn government choppers out here in 20 minutes. So
right. No, see, sense, that's one of the other mind speaks that I had in the beginning. And that was with Jabi, the male of the family. And he told me, because I had asked about the disappearances and all this other stuff, and he said, you know what? We get blamed for everything, and we don't even do the majority of it.
Yep. I couldn't agree with that more. Yep.
So, and that's one thing that I have found out from Mindspeak communication with these guys is they don't lie. They will tell you, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do that. They will tell you exactly what they're going to do. If they tell you run, you better bust, you better bust your ass and get out of there.
I said the same thing in a video the other day, man. Just for real.
Yeah, it's just, they're so the more that you learn, the less you know. It's just a lot.
I am so glad that you just said that, man, because anything I do, I'll study it, man, and I'll try to conquer it the best I can. Like the tree work that I do, man, I went to the best place I ever, got the best training, man, and I did it to the best of my ability. Well, as I study this subject matter, every time you think you gain, you turn around 15 minutes later and there's 10 more questions in your head. I've never tried to conquer anything like this subject, man. All I get is more questions, and it's almost, it's almost maddening.
It is. It's
especially if you're a deep thinker, man, and you want to figure this stuff out.
Right. You just have to at some point tell yourself,
stop.
I can't figure it. I just gotta go. You gotta hit acceptance.
Yes.
That's what you got to do. You got to hit acceptance. So it's crazy. But did you want to hear some more of my experiences?
Absolutely.
I know we're running in an hour right now, so that went by really quick.
The timing on this is completely up to you. I'm just so happy to have you on the line, dear. You tell us whatever you feel like you want to, and then we'll
go through a couple things real quick. Let me see here. Okay, on 10/2 at 3:30 a.m. There again, I was up at 3:30 for probably going to the bathroom. There was a huge bang on the semi. So I don't believe a tree fell on it. This sounds like it was on the side of it, which I've heard that bang before when I was outside and I went to go into the woods. This is kind of a funny story. You know, it's one of those times where I did something I shouldn't have. So I go out my side door, which I usually don't ever go out. And I went out there and I was headed to the woods and I heard a bang on the semi. And I was like, what was that? So I thought, oh, they don't want me going in the woods, was the thought that came in my head.
Are you talking like the fiberglass shell of like the sleeper type of part that's sitting out
No,
there?
I'm talking about the back trailer.
Oh, it's a whole truck.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Without the front. It's just the back of a semi.
I see.
So I thought, oh, they don't want me going in the woods. Okay, I won't go in the woods. So I go out there and I always do yeep, yeep. That's how I call them and let them know that I'm there. So I go out and I stand at the edge of these woods. And let me back up for a minute because I forgot an important part of the story. Back when I first started going in the woods and I would do the yip yip, after I had the first contact with Olaf, he would answer me with a whistle. I would go out there and I would scream, yeep, yeep, and he would answer with a whistle. That went on for months until this day when this happened. Okay. So I go out there and I said, okay, I'm not going to go into the playroom. I'm not going to go in the woods. So my dumbass stands at the beginning of the woods. I lean in and I yell, yeep, yeep. And here comes this whistle from way back in the woods. Okay, Olaf wasn't by the semi. That was Jabi. And he was probably there to take a nap. And here I called this little child in from way back in the woods. And this whistle was just coming towards me, and I was like, uh-oh, oh my God.
You messed up Dad's nap.
Yeah, I messed up Dad's nap. So, and I don't know that this is what happened, but I could just see him sitting in the semi, rolling his eyes like, you dummy. I'm trying to get away from these people.
I didn't mention don't come out here, right?
Yeah, I banged, and here you are.
Oh,
and not only that, but you called my kid, who's like
great.
2 or 3. It was crazy. So that was one of my mistakes. But so then on January 9th of 2024, between nope, there's 2 things that happened then. Okay, the first one was Olaf did what he calls a zapping. Now everybody asks, can they come into your house? Yeah, they can come in their house. There's no locked doors that can keep them out if they went in.
I am so glad you just said that, dear. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. And the only reason that I know he was in here is because I smelled him when I came home from work. And I said, Olaf, were you in my house? And he said, I just did a quick zapping. And that's what he calls it when they zap in and zap out. He calls it a zapping. He said, I didn't touch anything because that was one of the stories in the beginning that I heard too, is they come in their house and they destroy it. They're ripping cupboards out of the walls and they're throwing your TV through the window and whatever, flipping couches and all that other stuff.
I'm sure that's an option if that's how they're feeling. They're going to do what they want.
Exactly. But he was very, he didn't want to get in trouble.
No, they care about you, man, and they understand. I think they respect you and your stuff.
Well, yeah, they do. And he's accidentally broken a few things, but that's okay. told them, that's fine, I'll just fix it. And I fixed it, and then eventually it keeps happening, so I just throw it out. So, because they're strong, and he doesn't know when he's playing with the wind chime that if he pulls too hard,
I would totally expect that kind of stuff. But no, it's obvious to me, man, that they love you and they care about you and your place.
Yeah. So, and then around 11 p.m., I got a house bang that day on the north side, and then in January 12th, another house bang. And this is where I had to tell them, stop banging in the house, please, because you're scaring me. Because you're just sitting here watching TV or scrolling through Facebook and bam.
Here's a question. Is there any dents or footprints or anything in your house?
Nope.
Not a mark,
Nope, there is a mark that's still in my garage from greasy fingerprints,
right,
and I can't get it off. And then I had a handprint on my window, and that I touched, and it was greasy.
Yeah, they seem to have oily skin just like us, eh?
Well, I'd say more oily.
Right. I'm just saying that in general, they seem to have, because this is another pattern. I've seen a handprint like on a suburban back window, them.
Right.
It covers a whole damn window, and you can just tell it's just the oil on their hand.
Right. And I've come home and I found 3 hairs, 2 on my junk bench, and it was covered in cat hair along with these 2 hairs. And my cat has never been on the junk bench in her life. And then I found one on the part of the couch that I sit on. So, and they're like, they are dark towards like the root ball, and then they get translucent, which that tells me that that's how they blend the light.
100%, man. I know they pick up all of the colors from all around them.
So just kind of like a predator thing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another prevalent pattern. So glad that you said that too, man. Perfect.
So we have a whoop on 1/15/2024 at 7:30 p.m. from the south side of the house. On 1/16, another whoop at 10:10 p.m. On 1/24, another whoop at 8:25 p.m. And I think that might have been I can't remember when I started gifting them. But the whoops are loud enough and clear enough that you can hear them easily from the inside of the house, even though they're on the outside. And then I was in my office on the 11th of February in a stone. There's a window facing the front of the house, and then there's a window facing the south side of the house. And I got a rock thrown at the window on the south side of the house. And this was around 11 p.m. I was doing some kind of computer work. Or wait, nope, 8:15. I'm sorry, side office, 8:15. I was doing some kind of computer work. And then 8:11, around 2:30ish, there was a bang on the north side of the house. On 11/25/25, so this was last November, 2 months ago, I in my spare bedroom, it's corner bedroom, I have 2 windows on each side, and I leave the TV on for them. I turn it on about 7:30, and then I turn it off anywhere between 10 and midnight.
That's so awesome.
So that they can watch TV. Because, I mean, if you think about it, if you got to stay quiet all day and hide, that sucks.
Yeah, I'm sure they're sick of it.
So I try to give them some entertainment. And so have a routine. I go in there, I turn the TV on, I shut the door. I went in there and turned the TV off, pull the shades down, and then go out, shut the door, and go to bed. I get back up in the morning, and I always open all the shades to let light in before I leave for work. I open the door, and the shades are up. So somebody had asked me, "Oh, were they inside?" And I was like, "I don't think so. I think they just did that from the outside, but at least the TV wasn't on." So what the purpose of that was, whether they turned the TV off, I don't know. There have been times that I've gone in there and I've had the TV on and the TV has been turned off, and I went in there to shut it off and it was already off. So I just thought to myself, "Oh, they're sick of that program. Maybe I better, change the channel. Maybe they want to watch something else."
If they can turn it off, they can turn it on too.
That's true. So then the last thing that I'll share with you is the sightings that I've had. And I've had 5 physical sightings. And it feels like I had one more, but I can't for the life of me think what it is. So, and I didn't write it down. So we're just going to go with the ones that I remember for sure. And the first one was way back in the spring of 2023 when I first moved in. And this was, again, I was still coming off that rabbit hole of them.
Terrifying you.
Right. And on top of that, I had just read a story about these coyotes and how they'll lure the little dogs in by acting like they're going to play. Yep. And then they have the other coyotes in the woods and then they jump the little dog or whatever it is. So that was in the back of my mind. But I get home from work and I always took my phone out into the playroom and I would always record what Olaf had done out there because everything was always changing back there. Everything was always changing. So I went to go out there and I look in the field, which is on the north side of my house, and there's this big black thing in the middle of this field. Not quite in the middle. It was like in the middle of the middle. You know what I mean? Sure. So I look and there's this big black thing and I thought, man, that's a big freaking turkey. So then I look and I'm looking at this thing and my phone is still in my hand. And then I'm like, no, that can't be. That cannot be. There's no way I'm seeing that. And then I remembered that because I started walking towards it. And then I remembered the coyote thing and I thought, oh, you better not do that. It might be a trap. They might be waiting to jump you. So I just stood at the edge and I looked and then I see this thing I'm still thinking that I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. I seen it do the gorilla squat. It was squatted down, but it moved to the side just like a gorilla would. And I was like, wait a minute. Turkeys don't move like that. That ain't no turkey. And so I took my phone, which was not even on, and I put it in my pocket. And I went back in my house because I'm not messing with nobody's baby. And I realized that this was a juvenile in the field. And what had happened was both parents, whoever was supposed to be watching him, because he was about probably 3 at the time, fell asleep, and he had wandered off. Oh. So he was in the field by himself, and they didn't know it. He had just wandered off because he is spunky. He's a spunky little guy. Was it
Olaf?
It was Olaf, yeah. Sure was. So then the second time was in the summer of 2024, and it was about right after a storm that we had, and it took a bunch of tree branches down in my house. So the power was out. It was like 90-some degrees. So I'm at like dusk trying to stand at my back bedroom window and trying to get a little bit of a breeze going on there. And it was not quite dark. There was still a lot of light left. It was dusky. It was just on the verge of turning. And I was at my back window, and I have a fence back in part of the, like I said, my yard is put up in sections. It's weird. But in the one section, there was a fence. So I'm looking, and here comes this black figure walking up behind this fence. And I'm watching it. And then I had taken all these branches and put them, I have a chicken coop. I put them in between the chicken coop and these bushes, because there's a line of bushes that go past, the fence, and then there's bushes. And so I piled all these branches up there, and I hear the branches, like, how when you walk by a branch or something and you'll grab it and you'll mess with it? So not only did I see him walk the fence line, but I heard him mess with the branches as he walked by from the other side. And he came right out from the east side, which is, they live east behind my house.
How far from you was he when he come around the brush?
He was behind the brush. He never came in front of it. He stayed behind the fence. But the fence came up to his chest. So this is how I know how tall he was, because I could see from like a little bit under his shoulders up. So I went out and I measured, and I'm 5'4", so he's right around 5'4" as of last summer. Was it last summer? Nope, 2024. So he was about 5'4" at 2024. And mind you, he used to have no hair on his face, and now his face is completely covered.
Wow, already, huh?
Yeah. So he's like, I'd say 6 or 7-ish. I'm not positive because I don't know exactly how they age. So
sure, probably their whole deal is different than ours, I'd imagine.
Yeah, because they live like hundreds of years.
Yeah, much longer, right? So their whole frame of reference and timing, it seems like it'd be completely different than ours, probably.
Yeah. Then the third time that I saw Olaf was I went to turn the TV off in the spare bedroom, and he was at the window. And they always tell you never make eye contact with them because they view it as aggression. Well, I made eye contact, and I just stared at him, and he just stared at me. And by the time that I entered that door and I stopped and I was just staring, I'm like, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Because your mind, even though you're experiencing these things, every time something new happens, your mind's got to register it.
Yeah, and it takes a second, right?
It does take a second. So by the time I got to the window, he was gone. He was either squatted down or he had moved that quick away from the window because he was nowhere to be seen. So that is my third. And then the fourth sighting was on my way home from work. And that was, I don't even know, maybe 5 minutes from my house. Yeah, about 5 minutes from my house. And I saw a very tall, black, covered figure walking the wood line on the north side of the road as I was heading east.
If I remember right, you were thinking that was JB?
Yes. Yep.
Do you have any kind of guesstimation on how tall you think he is?
Nope.
Just big, huh?
Just big. I have no clue. I would imagine I probably come up anywhere between if he had a belly button and his chest, I would probably come up somewhere around there. Around 5'4".
Yeah, pretty big color.
Then my last sighting, I have no idea who this was or what he was doing here, but he was here. And that was just this past winter in 2025. And I always turn the light off when I turn the TV on in that room. And I had walked by and I noticed the light was on underneath it. So I opened the door to turn the light off. And I opened the door and there is this big brown Bigfoot in the window, just ahead. And he's staring at me. And he takes up like 3/4 of the window. And he's just, there's no shock. There was no rage. There was no...
Just calm?
Yeah, just, I stared at him. He stared at me. I turned the light off and I shut the door. Because...
I think that's a pretty good response.
I mean, but you just don't know what to do. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he's going to do.
No, I'm sorry, but I think that was just a great, perfect response. I don't know what I'd have done any different.
I just didn't know what else to
do. Sometimes you just got to shut the door and walk away.
Right. Right, exactly.
Oh, my gosh.
I will say, when I did go back in, turn the light off, and to pull the shades down, he was not there, so...
Oh, my goodness.
So those are, and I consider myself pretty lucky to be having just that many sightings, you know, in this time. And I don't know.
You've opened up the door. You've gained their trust. They've gained yours. And I think it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And I do want to say this. It's a lot of work. It's not easy to have a relationship like this with them. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of understanding. And it takes a lot of intro.
Did I mention big balls?
Yeah, you did mention big balls.
I think it takes that too, if you ask me.
My friend keeps saying that too, and I guess she keeps saying, this isn't normal. This isn't normal. And I said, well, it's normal for me.
Yeah,
this is normal for me.
Yeah, it's a part of your life, right?
Yeah, because she said, the one that got the pine cone thrown at her car, I didn't want to think that was like a threatening thing, but right. it kind of was, because she had said to me, I'd have been calling the news, I'd have been calling the police, the National Guard, the Army. I would not be living there. Right. I'd be calling everybody, investigator in the world, get out here and get these people off here.
Yeah, and those are the people that don't have this amazing experience that you have because of your bravery. I'm so glad that you stuck it out and that you're figuring out. And
but I do got to tell you, it's still every time something new happens, you got to regain your balance, because it shakes you up even after this many, going on 4 years. It still shakes you up when something new happens, because you don't know what it means and you have to adjust to it. So it's, like the jabber or the talking or the, the name in the middle of the night in between.
Speaking talking. Of which, I watched your video, and a recent one, you said something about one of them showed up and said your name. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure who this was, and I didn't ask, but I was asleep and I woke up and I heard, this is, I think, the third time that I've heard this jibber jabber talk, and it's a language, but I couldn't
just not ours.
Right. I couldn't tell you a word.
Sure.
I couldn't tell you anything of that. All I can tell you is, in the middle of it, I heard the name Angie, and I didn't hear it with a lot of emotion. It was just stated. Just jibber, 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 Angie, jibber, 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 jibber. So I was like, okay.
How did that make you feel?
I said, thank you. And then the gibbering stopped.
I can't imagine how I would feel to have something that isn't supposed to exist say my damn name to me, man.
Well, right. It's.
I don't know how that would make me feel.
I was thrilled because
I'm sure.
I didn't take it as they were, talking about Angie, goddamn, you know what I mean?
Right.
It was they were discussing whatever, and my name came up. And that day, I had just heard the story, like I said in my video, I had just heard the story of the one Bigfoot was telling these campers, he told them good night. And I thought, oh, might have never spoken English like that out loud. I wish I would. And then sure as shit, here comes, a female saying my name. And that's why I sat up and said, thank you. And then, I don't know if I scared them or they thought I was asleep or.
I listened, I think it was just last night. Actually, the fellow we did our first over the phone deal with, Renee, he shot me a link to a video that I hadn't seen yet. And it's one of the biggest channels out there, man. And he's interviewing a First Nations guy, and the guy was just laying it down, man. All their handed down information, man, of how they used to hang out with them and trade with them and the whole deal. And one of the things this guy said was that the Bigfoot, the real legitimate Bigfoot, don't have red eyes. He said, but some of these other things will shapeshift so they look like them, but they have red eyes, and they're the ones that do the nasty shit.
Oh, interesting.
I wanted to run that by you while I had you on here. And he didn't say I feel or I think, right? He said this is what it is. He says
interesting.
Yeah, well, I thought so too. And matter of fact, the day before this, I'm listening to this guy's account. One of them cloaked into a stump, right?
Right.
And he said the damn stump had red eyes.
Oh.
So, in that I want to go right into this next question. I wanted to ask you. This fella also said that the Sabe can show up in their light form, which we already know. And he said they can show up in their big hairy form of themselves, but he said that's about it. He says they aren't the shapeshifters. He said the shapeshifters are something else, and I'm wondering if maybe that's these hitchhikers, man, that come in on these remote views, or if these are something, man, that get through these portals somehow.
Yes, I believe that it's both because we know the hitchhikers come in on the Bigfoot.
Yep.
But we also know that if they're not closing the portals, or if other people in the paranormal world are opening these portals, these things are coming through.
I think maybe the government's got a key to that door too, man. If they want to open or close portals, I'm wondering if maybe they don't know some of this shit too, man. How could they not? They've known all about these folks all along.
Well, and there again, that's a double-edged sword.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Whether when you have, what do they call that? Is it not exposure? What's the word I'm looking for?
I'm not sure.
They did it with the UFOs.
Oh yeah,
where they said, that there are well, they call them UFPs.
Oh yeah, they're just now admitting to that, right?
Right.
I feel like for this particular subject matter, first off, we've been led to believe that they can protect us. You and I both know when it comes to these Bigfoot Sabe and the things that they can do, there really is no protection for us.
Other than the Bigfoot themselves.
Yes, the government knows they can't protect us, and for that to all come out would absolutely cause a revolution. I think that's a big part of why they won't admit to this. They know they can't keep us safe from it, and if that got out, you know what I mean? People are going to lose their shit, man.
Well, and probably also it's to protect them too.
Sure. Well, I
To
think
protect the Bigfoot.
that's what the whole national parks was about. I think Teddy Roosevelt, I think he was out hunting, and I think he saw one, and I think at that moment he realized that these folks needed some space where we wouldn't run them over, man. And I think
Right.
that's where all these national parks started. You know,
That's a good thing.
absolutely, they gotta have space, man.
They do.
And I think also just these things we just mentioned, the things with the red eyes is not them. These damn things that come in on remote view is not them. And I think a lot of this stuff that goes down that isn't good is from them, and it's blamed on the Sabe people. And I think that's part of the thing that you and I both would like to change a little bit.
Right. Exactly. And I just lost what I was going to say.
That's all right. I'm getting there. It's
gone.
Sweetheart, we've been on the phone for a long time. I'm
an hour and a half. That's a lot. It went by really quick, though, so thank you. I appreciate it.
I always love talking to you.
This was a pleasure.
You always expand my mind in directions I didn't know it could even go. And while we're talking about trying to paint the Sabe in a better light, one of the last questions I wanted to run by you, dear, I know that you've mentioned to me that they wrapped you in that amazing love, man. Can you explain to these folks what that's like?
It is. I've never felt anything like that in my life. It is overwhelming to the fact where you can't control your emotions.
I was going to ask you, did it just come spilling out?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I've heard that from other people also, too. They have gotten wrapped in that. It's just, it's overwhelming. I imagine that would probably be what it feels like when you face God or the Creator.
As out there as that sounds, I believe that to be very accurate. They're on a much higher vibration than we are. They exist in truth and love.
100%.
And they emanate the love of God. I believe that completely. And I wanted to end this with that question, man, because I know they did that for you. And I think that's a pretty good place to end this deal, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time, dear.
Oh, thank you. And you have enlightened me in a few things that I was not aware of either. So we always have conversations where we both learn from each other.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about.
Yes. And then the fact that came out of a guy's mouth that is 100% First Nations. I don't have too many doubts about it, man. I love the information that they have, and I wish that they'd share more with us.
Well, and they will in their own time.
Yeah.
Just like the Bigfoot, they do everything in their own time, not when you want it.
Right on. All right, you guys already know the deal. If it happened to you out there, if it's going on your property, you want to share it with somebody, give us a shout here at Michigan Cryptid. Angie, thanks so much for your time.
And thank you, all you listeners, for hanging with us for so long. Yes. We appreciate you guys being here.
Again, want to remind you guys, if you haven't done it already, please go to Angie's channel for us. That's Beauties and the Bigfoot, correct?
Correct. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Everybody deserves to be doing well. I'm so glad I got you on the phone tonight. Thanks so much for your time. I'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Right, bye. All right, y'all. That was our friend Angie, man. This is her life. This is what she's got going on all the time at home. As always, thanks for your time, you guys. If it happened to you, you want to talk about it, or you want to share it, help somebody else with their experience, get a hold of us here. You can email me your whole story, michigancryptid@gmail.com, or or you can shoot me your phone number and an email and a good time to call you, and I'll reach out. Thanks in advance. Night, everybody. Michigan Cryptid out. Something's wrong. The timer says 16 minutes.